Good morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Gainesville, Texas. Today's verse is 1 John 2:10. The one who loves his brother abides in the light, and there is no cause for stumbling in him. Now in last week's verse, and I have the link up here, we hit verse 9, which is before this verse, but also verse 11, which comes after this verse. And in verse 9 it talks about if you say you're in the light but you hate your brother, no, you're in darkness. And verse 11 says that if you're in that darkness because of that hatred, you're going to be stumbling because you're blinded. And remember that I suggested that if you stay in that darkness for too long, your eyes will no longer adjust to the light. You'll just be too used to the darkness. So you got to get yourself out of that. And the way to do it is through love. So it says, the one who loves his brother abides in the light. And not only that, it says there is no cause for stumbling in him. Now, I suggested way back in verse 1 of this chapter that if we are surrendering everything in love to Jesus, all of our possessions, all of our relationships, all of our preferences, everything about us, even down to the possession of our RV, if we love him that much with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, that at least for the time that we've surrendered everything, that he can have it all, we are perfect. We will not be sinning. And this verse seconds that it says there's no cause for stumbling. We can really live a perfect life as long as we surrender everything to him in love. For that section of time, we are perfect, and I believe that we can make those times stretch even longer and longer to where we could go for potentially a long period of time without really sinning. Isn't that wonderful? Why? Because it's not us doing the work, it's him doing the work. And if he's doing the work, it is perfect. Now it says, the one who loves his brother abides in the light. There is no cause for stumbling. That word stumbling is interesting. It's the word scandalon, which comes about a dozen times in Scripture. And I thought I'd take us to another Scripture that uses that, and it's a very well-known Scripture. 1 Peter 2:6. It says, for this is contained in Scripture. Behold, I lay in Zion a choice stone, a precious cornerstone, and he who believes in him will not be disappointed. So he is that rock. Everything about our salvation is based on him and that rock, which is the rock of love. Continuing in verse 7, this precious value then is for you who believe. But for those who disbelieve, the stone which the builders rejected, this became the very cornerstone. So, there's other people that say, I don't know about this Jesus. I don't want this Jesus in my life. I want to run my own life. Thank you very much. So this rock that should be the basis of our salvation has been rejected by some people. Well, actually, unfortunately, a lot of people. And let's see the result of that in verse 8. And a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. It's actually the rock of offense. That word offense is that word scandalon. Okay? Scandalon actually even means something like booby trap. Isn't that interesting? For they stumble because they are disobedient to the word, and to this doom they were also appointed. So that's the people who walk in blindness. They walk in the darkness because they're blind, because they hate their brother. And they're going to be doomed. So let's end on a good note, which is verse 9. But you who believe and love God are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who has called you out of darkness and into his marvelous light. So let's choose to love every moment, because then we'll walk in the light and we'll love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a great week.